Yes, yes, yes. We're here to talk now about the KDE goals. So we're going to start here because we actually have quite a bit of content for this session. So we're going to be quick on time, actually. So today, we have the KDE goals 1-year recap hosted by Farid, who will have a number of other speakers, and they will introduce themselves. So please, Farid.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. Nice to have you here. So I'm going to be giving a very brief intro because our goal champions will be here speaking about their own goals. So last year, we started a new cycle for the KDE goals. The community chose these 3 goals. The first one is streamlined application development experience. It was championed by Nico. Basically, it is about making developers happy, giving them a good time developing, so making an easy process for creating applications, either for KDE or third party. Part of the process is to make bindings, improve documentation. Nico will talk more about this. The second one is we care about your input. It is not just input as in feedback, but also input as in devices. And we have Jacob, Gernot, and Josh who are championing this goal. And this is about making your graphics tablet, plug it in, it will work. This is about your game controller, plug it in, it will work. This is about on-screen keyboards, it will work. So it is about improving input devices. And the last one is KDE Needs You, which is about making our community healthy. How do we make it grow? How do we keep it alive? How do we keep it healthy? And it is championed by Paul, Annika, and Johnny. So the first thing we started doing this cycle was starting to focus on visual identity, trying to make the KDE goals be like a project of KDE, easy recognizable. So now, from now on, we have like these goals, this logo for the KDE goals. So you will notice that every goal has a different kind of identity. So we care about your input. Is this one? The streamlined application development experience, it has this identity, while the KDE Needs You one has this one. Part also of the process was to start thinking about creating logos and visual elements for other projects. So part of the mentorship, part of the KDE Needs You goal is to improve to redesign, remodify, refactor our mentorship program. So now we have a logo for the KDE mentorship. This took a while to come up with. It was hard, but we ended up coming with the concept of a seed. So, we plant seeds, and then these seeds grow, and then the community becomes a forest, and yeah. We also have a new website, which we launched today. It is still a work in progress, but yeah, it's better than what we had before. What else? Another thing we started trying to work more on is become more promo-friendly, promo-aware. So we started, as you see, the first promo campaigns we did. They did not have this visual identity. We inherited the KDE one, which is blue and white. But then each campaign, each promo material follows the visual identity of each goal. One cool thing that you see here that the input goals are like bursting out of the KDE bubble. If you see here on the right, Plasma got 199 boosts, while Help Us Improve Tablet Support got almost 100 boosts more. This is only on Mastodon, but it is just, to me, it's a sign that we are bursting outside of the KDE bubble, and people are very interested in this kind of in this project. Do I have on time? Yes, okay. Okay, I'm gonna speed run this. Integration. One of the cool things about these 3 goals, which I am very lucky to be part of, the goals are transversal. They are connected. We can see that documentation, bindings, both of the goals, whether KDE Needs You or the streamlined application, they are work with each other. And we are at Academy. You can see here we are at talks, workshops, BOVs. And I want to thank also the End of 10 campaign people for helping us host the End of 10 Academy edition. This is also part of the KDE Goals initiative. And now I'm going to leave you with Nico, and I'm on time. Thank you.
All right. My goal can be summed up with have nice things. We have this old saying in KDE, why can't we have nice things? And I want us to stop saying that because we will have achieved nice things. But now you probably want me to be a bit more precise about what that means. And in order to do that, I'm gonna divide the goal into sort of 4 categories. First of all, we have vision and design, basically asking the question, what do we actually want? What do we want our applications to look and feel like? What do we want our applications to do? And sometimes I have a feeling about the visual design of our applications that we sort of keep doctoring on implementation details, but we don't really have a clear direction of what do we actually want them to look like. A couple of years ago, we had consistency as a goal, which is certainly important, but it doesn't answer the question of, okay, but how should it be consistent? We also have convergence as an everlasting topic because the computing landscape has gotten a lot more complex over the last couple of years, and we need to have an answer for that. And I think the motto of simple by default, powerful when needed has served us well in the past, but we need to fill it with a lot more details than just a couple of words can provide. Then once we have figured out what we want, let's do it. We need to get into actual development. And in order for people to do that, we need to have good APIs. We already have a lot of APIs for application development in KDE, both in Qt, KDE frameworks and libraries, and we need to extend, simplify and streamline them so that it becomes easy to do the right thing for applications to work properly, and it becomes hard for applications to be broken and wrong. One specific goal that we came up with is we want to allow people to use languages other than C++ for KDE application development. And in general, we want to have good tooling, good IDEs, editors, linters, CI, and so on that take a lot of the manual work from us. Then next of all, documentation. Somebody comes into the community, wants to do something, they will ask, how does any of this even work? And we need to have an answer to that. So across the board, we want to improve our API document, or not just API documentation, but documentation for all aspects of the application development lifecycle. That includes things like design and human interface guidelines, that includes API documentation, but also tutorials for specific cases or things around debugging, profiling, and finally packaging and distributing and publishing the applications. Then we have, last but not least, the community aspect. Let's do this together. There's an old saying, go alone, go fast, go together, go further. And this is something that KDE excels at, doing things together and going further than we could alone. For this, we need to embrace not only our own community, but also other neighborhood communities, I would call them, like Qt, Free Desktop, XDG, Wayland, portals, Flatpaks, distributions, and so on and so forth. So looking back at 1 year of this goal, what have we achieved? Now, in terms of vision and design, there's not much to report in terms of grand vision. That doesn't mean nothing has happened. There has been a lot of formal and informal conversations about this, but nothing like coordinated as part of this goal. There is, however, some very interesting technical work going on with, for example, the design system that Andy was talking about earlier today, and the union theming engine that Arjen has presented earlier today. So those are good steps in the right direction from an implementation point of view. But what I would really like to see, for example, is a bunch of us who are interested in the design topic to get together in a sort of application design sprint and just work out what do we want our applications to look like, what do we want the layout and look and feel to be. So we have a specific thing we can then work towards. Then in terms of development, the main thing that has happened is we worked on language bindings for Rust and for Python. And that gives us some building blocks for writing apps in those languages. I'm not going to get into much detail now because I have a whole talk about this afterwards in the other room. And then we have various improvements to APIs across the board, just deprecating APIs that are confusing, adding new helpers, adding new functionality that makes it easy to do the right thing. One example is, for example, we're gaining some convenience API that centralizes a bunch of things that every app needs to do at application startup to set the right theme, the right icons, and so on and so forth. It's kind of cumbersome, so we want to centralize it in a place that it gets applied automatically for all apps. And we've seen some improvements in tooling, particularly around QML over the last few years. Things have gotten a lot better in that regard just by having a language server that plugs QML support into IDEs like Kate or Visual Studio Code and gives us autocomplete and error checking and so on. And things are moving into a very good direction in that regard. We also have some more extensive verification going on in our CI system. For example, a couple of weeks ago, I added support for QML lint in our CI. So whenever you do a CI build for a QML project, we run QML lint and show the results in a nice GitLab integrated way. So it tells you, you have a code quality issue here, please fix that. Or we recently added a CI build for not the current Qt version, but the next Qt version, which not only verifies that our code is compatible with the next Qt version, but also implicitly checks for regressions in a newer Qt version, so we can catch them earlier instead of after the release in a sort of panic mode. What's missing in all of this is a bit of, we have some nice building blocks for writing applications in Rust or Python now, but you don't really yet have any apps that, or production-ready apps that make use of them, which creates a sort of chicken and egg situation, because there's a lot of things to be ironed out in, for example, the packaging and distribution of those, but those things won't get addressed until somebody tries to use them in anger, but people might be hesitant to use them because they think they are not ready. So what we really would need is somebody to step up and really try to do this and champion their way all the way through and report and help iron out the kinks along the way. Talking about documentation, the main area of focus, at least for myself, was a very big overhaul of the current API.kde.org website. I'm gonna talk all about that tomorrow in one of my talks, so I'm not gonna go into a lot of detail here, but spoiler, it's gonna be amazing. We also have some news, some improved tutorials on develop KDE.org that focus on various aspects of programming, so not API documentation, but more use case focused. I want to do this, I want to do that. What's still missing in all of this, we still in a bunch of places have some old and outdated documentation that still talks about concepts from like Qt 5 and KF5 and wasn't really updated or properly dropped when we went to Qt 6. And some of that stuff is even older than that. So just identifying outdated or dead documentation is helpful in itself, but of course, fixing and updating that to be nice and proper would be more awesome. We also have some areas where we simply miss documentation and don't have it at all. Again, identifying that is a good first step, but eventually we also need to fill those gaps. So if you do encounter that and found out the hard way how something is supposed to work, then stepping up and filling that documentation gap is also good. And something that exists and I very much like is there is a nice website called makealinux.app, which gives you an overview of various technologies and starting steps for creating Linux apps. And I would very much like something like that, but focus on making KDE applications. So basically a one-page landing page, a summary of the full application development cycle, from design over development to packaging, just summarized in one page and linking to all the content we have, so we have a central starting point for that. So if you're into that and maybe into web development, then help on this would be awesome. Community. I would say our community in general is awesome as ever. We are doing, and we should continue doing, welcoming and guiding new people in the community as they come, and ideally also in a formalized way where we always embrace and extend our onboarding documentation. We also should and are extending more outwards into our neighbor communities like Qt, Portals, Systemd. Those are areas where I personally noticed an uptick in us going more outward and contributing there more in recent times, which is very nice. And I've noticed also an uptick in us attending events from these neighborhood communities like Qt Contributor Summit, Linux App Summit, and next week I'm gonna be at Oxidize, which is a conference about Rust, where I will be talking about our Rust stuff that is going on. And a couple of weeks after that, a bunch of us are gonna attend All Systems Go, which is a conference about like Linux middleware stuff, lots of things going on with regards to immutable distros, and that's gonna be an awesome opportunity to chat with people all across the Linux stack. And in general, just enjoy Academy, be awesome, and maybe even consider hosting Academy in the future. That's it from me.
Cool. I think our next one then, KDE Needs You, is Paul and maybe Annika? Just Paul. Cool.
Just okay. Right. Oh, sorry. Why am I holding this thing? Okay.
For the stream online.
Yeah, I know. Hi. So the KDE Needs You plays on the famous. Plays on the famous wartime propaganda of Uncle Sam needs you and all that stuff, okay? So basically, there is a problem in our community that the popularity and the number of our projects is rising exponentially, but the number of contributors is not. Every time one of our applications or projects goes viral and gets, I don't know, 2,000, 5,000, 10,000 more users, it makes it more complicated for the developer because there are more bugs that are reported, there's more support, and then there are more demands on features, etc. So there is a point where we risk that we will not be able to reach, or we will not be able to cover the demand of our popularity. It's what happens when you die of popularity, basically. So we thought we'll propose a goal, which is basically we're going to try and recruit people into KDE. We're going to inform the world about what we do, to see if we can tempt more people into helping us out. So this is, although this is a plan, well, it doesn't look much like a plan, but although this is a plan for a website, it also summarizes what we're going to try and do. So we're going to try and get people to join KDE, and depending on what they want to do, they can just help us, as in come in and just start contributing if they already know about the technology or whatever. We want to attract, this sounds a bit contradictory about what I've just said, but we want also people to join us with their own projects, right? And we want to grow the community like that. And then we want to teach people or help people learn about our community with things like mentorships. So what we are creating is, well, apart from doing stuff that is offline, what we're doing is we're creating a series of websites, well, a series of 2 websites. One which is called joinkde.org, which is the general recruitment one, where you can go and you can find out stuff of how you start participating in a community on a technical or non-technical level, doesn't matter. And then, or you can learn also how to incubate your project. Or then you can go on to the mentorship site, which is where we have all our mentorship programs that currently are Season of KDE, Google Summer of Code, and OSPP, which, if you don't know, is a Chinese Google Summer of Code kind of thing, right? The thing is, okay, that's more like it. That looks more like a plan. The thing is that we have to incorporate into our whole, all the stuff we do, we have to incorporate also recruitment. So, for example, I have here some notes that, for example, when you go to an event, you have to, I'm from Promo, and in Promo we're big on goals, right? And so when people go to events, we ask them to write down, make explicit what they intend to get out of the event. And one of the things we say is, see if people can donate, see if people can, I don't know, join our matrix rooms, etc. One of the things that we have to incorporate is that people actually become contributors. Now, so basically I've divided this into 2 parts, which is recruitment and mentorship, although mentorship is part of recruitment too. Now, the thing is, we're going to increase the role, what we cover in our mentorships. So far, we have had 2 mentorship programs, Google Summer of Code and Season of KDE. We have recently increased that to include OSPP, which is, as I say, a Chinese Google Summer of Code, which we, our original, the first year we were there, we thought it was only for Chinese students. Turns out it's not. Anybody can join, but so now you know. And it's basically a Google Summer of Code, but sponsored by the Chinese government. And it doesn't have to be in Chinese either, so, you know, anybody can do it. And we also are going to, okay, so Season of KDE, what we're going to do is we're going to increase what it covers. So at the moment, Season of KDE was like the KDE version of Google Summer of Code. Has anybody done Google Summer of Code here? Yep, good. So Google Summer of Code is basically one project for one person. Season of KDE, up until now, has been one project for one person. But now we're going to do one project for one person for one project for many people, for teams. So that is one way we're going to increase the number of people doing Season of KDE projects. The other thing we're going to do is we're going to work with companies that want to train their junior developers or their, what are they called? Interns, right? So we will be providing them tailored Season of KDE projects so that they can train their people themselves. That's another way we're going to do it. We are currently talking to several companies. We're working with Qt, we're working with KDAB, and we're working with ACS, which they define themselves as the KDEB of the United States. Thanks. And today I talked to another company that was also very interested, but I can't say their name. Then we have Season of KDE is going to cover also here we go. The academic institutions, where we adapt projects, or we adapt tasks for projects for academic institutions. That's basically it, for universities or for arts and crafts schools, etc., etc. We are talking to universities in Brazil, France, and I recently found out that Norway too, thanks to Qt. Our progress is not immediately visible because this stuff takes time. We have making contacts and stuff like that, and we have started talking. We will probably start with, there is an opportunity for us to start with university projects this year. We have to create a portfolio, and this is news for everybody in our goal, but I'm telling you now, we have to create a portfolio for the end of September. So that's going to be fun. I was just told this, eh? So, okay, and I think that's it. I mean, as a lot of us are promo, we're going to do a lot of advertising online and stuff like that, which we already do. And that's it. Have you got any questions? Pardon? You made another slide? Oh, no. Oh, okay. We got a nice logo designed by Farid. I'm sure he's very proud. Oh, we're proud too. We're proud too. Okay, Google Summer. Oh, yes, this is the website. Yes, yes, yes. Pretty website. It's not merged yet, but it will be. Mentorship didn't have a website, and a year ago or a year and a half ago, it didn't have a website. Then we had a very basic website, and now we have a proper website that we hope is attractive to people that come and visit us and may encourage them to sign up for these mentorships. Is there more? Yeah? Oh, badges, yes. So this is another incentive designed by Johnny, where you get badges for stuff you do. So for example, you do Season of KDE, you get a badge, and it goes next to your name. And I know, it's like hats in video games, I guess. Isn't that a thing? That's a thing.
Team Fortress 2, yeah.
Exactly. Is there another one?
Fortnite.
Yes. Yeah. So, yes, basically, what I was saying. So we're going beyond the limited Season of KDE, Google Summer of Code, and we're going to all these kinds of institutions to increase the surface of, so that we get more people into it. Another one? Yeah? My God. No, not mine. This is not my problem anymore. Okay. So, have we got time for questions?
At the end.
At the end. I finished.
At the end of everybody.
Oh,
So we another speaker.
Sure. Yes.
It's okay. It's okay.
Your level is really low. You're prodding that. Really, that was terrible.
Yeah, that's the overview of our talk. Yeah, we're gonna start.
Sure, yeah. So when we proposed our goal, we were looking into how can we improve input handling in KDE, and ended up coming with a number of surface areas that needed to be improved. That includes this here: drawing tablet, mouse and touchpad, keyboard, virtual keyboard, better IME support, IMEs for input methods, game controllers, and then a few more things. This is how we're going to do this presentation here by summarizing what happened in each area.
Yeah, first up is drawing tablets. Special shout out to Joshua and Nicholas. The new Wayland drawing tablet is pretty nice because it's shipped by default. It's not an extra package you need to install. You get it automatically if you install Plasma Desktop. It has a tablet tester and a calibration and CLI tools. The new design is also pretty cool because tab design, and it shows, for example, if my tablet doesn't have buttons, so it doesn't even show the pad tab. This is the display tab, and what's new is you can map your screen either partially to or the tablet area partially. Tablet orientation is also something new, I think. It's the pen tab. What's new there? You can remap the stylus buttons, as you can see here. It shows you which button is which. Stylus, pressure curve, and range is also something new. And relative mode. This is mouse mode. This is, for example, if you don't want to use an actual mouse, but use your tablet pen as a mouse. Then there's the pad tab. This is for assigning buttons or remapping buttons. What's also new is, pad buttons and pad ring buttons. As you can see here. Yeah, we have another talk by Joshua. That's tomorrow. If you want to learn more about graphic tablets and artists and Wayland, please go and watch his talk. It's more in detail there. Also, there are two blog posts I want to mention. One is from Joshua, that's artonwayland.registrate.com. There is also the new features. He keeps updating this website, this blog post, and if you want to see what's going on, visit his blog. Also Nicholas' blog, where he posts about the improvements on the Qt Wayland side.
You can download the slides from the Academy website if you want these links and click them afterwards. Okay, so we're going to breeze through these slides because we have a lot. Next area is mouse and touchpad. There is a bunch of stuff going on. Specifically, I want to call out the Equin team. They improved drag and drop by a bunch, right? Last year, for instance, if you dragged a file into Firefox, sometimes it would do the wrong thing. Now it doesn't anymore. There's also Tajan Y. Nobody knows his identity, or hers, or something. We'll touch on that later. Our goals initially with mouse and touchpad were to get missing lib input features added, so you can have more options for the kind of interactions you want for your mouse and touchpad. Some are listed. Some still need to be added. Disabling touchpad when mouse plugged in, when the mouse is plugged in, is available and very useful. Another goal we had was gestures. You can have touchpad gestures, which already work, but a lot of people want them customized. There's also mouse gestures, which we renamed to stroke gestures, because ideally you want that on a touchpad as well, which are not currently implemented in Plasma and should come up. So that's what the next slide is about. And also mouse button rebinding needs a few improvements, including making it per device. So here's about gestures in particular. The slide. If you want your touchpad gestures to be customizable, you can now get a third-party app called Input Actions, which is pretty great. It allows a lot of customizations. This is the Tajan Y put a lot of effort into it. It's basically a very customizable language. Configuration language, except it's not upstreamable. It's not intended to go into Quinn itself. So what we are also trying to do is get more gesture support into Quinn, into Plasma. So we applied for an NLNIC grant. That came through. We're currently working on it. Gives us some time to improve the infrastructure for this kind of thing. We got together for a mini sprint to work on UX design and architecture. We're also looking into perhaps improving the API. So an application can specify what kind of extra actions it has, and then maybe remap those to arbitrary gestures. Here's a quick preview about the mock-ups that we made. This is how it might look for configuring your touchpad gestures in this case. This is a quick preview about mouse gestures where you draw over your screen and you get a nice effect, and then it recognizes what kind of stroke you drew and executes an action on it. All of this is not available yet, but it's in the works. Okay. I think keyboard I'm still doing, right? Okay, so for keyboard, we've had a number of improvements merged. There's a bunch of people I specifically want to shout out to Christoph Work, who made a boatload of improvements for accessibility, for keyboard navigation. Also Nicholas Vella, who worked on accessibility. And the other three here who worked on improvements for the QML-based keyboard KCM, which was rather at the start of our goal, but we're still going to include it here. So Plasma is much more navigable with keys nowadays. And this includes different features here. I also mentioned the keyboard setting port. So it looks nicer, it feels nicer, that's good. I also recently figured out that there's one side of a change that allows you to rebind keys globally, but has not been merged because there's no user interface for it. So started looking into that. Not quite available, but maybe we can get that working. What we also still want to look into, specifically to get Wayland to fully catch up to the X11 feature set. Slow keys used to be a thing, needs to be finished. Spare layouts needs to be decided upon. And there have been discussions about what can we do to include text snippets when you press a button or maybe type a short sequence. We'll be looking into that, or we hope that people are maybe interested and look into that in collaboration with us. Okay.
Yeah, the new virtual keyboard. Special shout out to Devin Lin and Alesh, who did a lot of work on that. It's getting ready for release, and hopefully we can ship it soon. It's built with Qt6 and it's based on Qt Virtual Keyboard. It's important because distro maintainers already told us other keyboards either don't work within Wayland or are still based on Qt5, so they really want to have something that's up to date. And with Qt Virtual Keyboard, we also get a lot of stuff for free that's already in Qt. We have layouts and autocomplete directly from Qt Virtual Keyboard, like I said. It's based on the Wayland input method protocol. It works with mouse and touchpad. That's also something that many users requested, that you have a virtual keyboard that you can use with a mouse. Something customizable layouts and interactions are planned, and I think something already landed. And modifier keys, there is some work going on, and some patches are already in there. That's modifier keys is also something that a lot of users, when we ask for feedback, what they want out of a virtual keyboard, they said they want modifier keys and they want an accessible keyboard. Yeah, future work to get it into a reasonable state, mostly just fixes and a little bit of polish, but it works already and we can already test it. Manual hide and show is something that may come. There's also another approach that was talked about. It's like configuring in the KCM if you want to use it as if you want to use it with the mouse, or like it is now with touch and tablet input. Yeah, physical keyboard emulation layout, that's really important for a lot of users. Like I said, that was the #1 feedback we got from users. Floating mode is, for example, something that the Windows Virtual Keyboard does by default, if you ever used that one. And it's for some types, it's better than if you have it at the bottom. You can move it out of the way, because sometimes it doesn't work if it's at the bottom. Better emoji handling and swipe support is something we are looking at.
All right, and the other part of the virtual keyboard puzzle here, virtual keyboard, on-screen keyboard, kind of like you can make subtleties, but oftentimes they mean the same, would be the general infrastructure behind it. So Plasma Keyboard provides the particular virtual keyboard that we made here, and then there are protocols and infrastructure in Plasma itself that support it, including the configuration. We need to get better at some of these things. Right now, if you have an input method, it has to have configuration in a different spot than the regular keyboard or virtual keyboard settings page even. So we want to bring that together. There's been a good proposal for that. In the same way, it would be nice if you said, I can select multiple input methods, maybe a virtual keyboard, and then a autocomplete or snippet kind of functionality together, and then quick switch between them. So that's something we want to look at. So for the shout out here, going back to the previous slide, Xuetian Wang, the FCITX5 maintainer, has provided some really good discussion and input for us in which direction we can go. Dorota Chaplievich is also currently at this academy and wants to get more work done on unifying the underlying Wayland protocols to reduce fragmentation, hopefully in the Linux space. Yeah, in addition to that, we want to look at more additional input methods, perhaps speech to text, perhaps something snippet-based, perhaps something with AI autocomplete. We'll see, but that would be part of the original goal. Let's see what we can do there. Game controllers is another area here, possibly the last large area that we had looked at. There is still a lot of work to do. Lots of shout-outs though. So right now KDE has a settings page for game controllers. It currently only shows you what your game controller can do. It does not allow you to actually configure it, because for configuration, we would have to integrate awareness of that into the compositor, Quinn, which is what we had Google Summer of Code project for. We got one student who worked on this. I'll get to that in a little bit. But in general, what we want out of game controller support is first catch the input events coming in, so we can monitor them and change them where they need to be. There is a long-standing bug or issue pointed out where the controller should inhibit sleep when you use your game, and it doesn't automatically inhibit sleep. Then it should do that because you're using the controller. We want to help with remapping buttons, maybe a little bit like Steam input, maybe a little different, calibrate dead zones. We would like if you can use your analog stick on the controller to actually navigate Plasma, to emulate the mouse, to go left and right where it's necessary. And yeah, in addition to that, Steam controller, many people have Steam Decks nowadays. It's a very popular device for KDE users, and they have a few quirks that need to be unfortunately handled. We'll get to you in a little bit.
I have a patch which makes SCL2 supporting joysticks work with that. I'll submit it in the next weeks.
Okay, we love you. Thank you. Next time you're getting on the shout-out list as well. You're going on the shout-out lists next year. Okay. Yeah, and then we prepared a project description for Google Summer of Code and got an application that Yesin Sepulveda worked on. There were some experiments made, so we verified that the stack here can do what it needs to be in order to get all of the goals from the previous page done. Unfortunately, there were some personal circumstances that forced the student to basically skip the second half of the project, so that didn't quite complete. However, he recently came back, and maybe we'll still get a lot of progress there. If not, or just in general, join, because games are fun, and Plasma can improve quite a bit there, and it needs a good amount of help. There is enough work for everyone who is interested in this. And that takes me to the last slide with topics, which is stuff that didn't neatly fill into other things. So the input capture portal is a way for Wayland applications to request general input that you can then maybe pipe to another application, like remote desktop kind of things. David Redondo implemented the input capture portal for Plasma alongside a number of other portals, so that's very nice. Emulated input. And then DeskFlow is another thing that's happening, where Chris Rizzitello is very active right now. DeskFlow is kind of, if you're aware of this, Synergy was an original project. It got forked into Input Leap, had another fork, Barrier. What it allows you to do is to have multiple computers and use a single mouse and keyboard across your different computers as if it were a single screen. That's currently looking into perhaps becoming a KDE project. I'm definitely using more Qt as infrastructure, so the goal there is to perhaps at some point integrate it into Plasma itself. Then Plasma Mobile, Plasma Big Screen should get a shout out. Yeah? Oh, we're done. Okay, all right, never mind. Time's up. Okay, we're going to Q&A. Yeah, sure. Whatever you don't... yeah, no, this is good. Okay. So join us. We're a friendly community. We love you. And
over
also
this way, guys.
tomorrow, Input Buffs. Join our discussion. Be part of this.
So just like every other session so far, yep. If you guys have questions for the group up here, the team, go ahead and raise your hand. Yep. Start with Andy up there. And if you are online streaming, I've got the chat here, so drop a question in the chat and we'll read it out. So.
For the last presentation about the keyboard work, would you consider also some features that we see in mobile, for example, one-handed mode, where you can kind of push the keyboard to a corner of the screen and you can just sort of use a thumb to work on that? And also, I was thinking if there is a way that users can select a language keyboard, but without having to enable it in a KCM, so just in a pop-up, so that they don't have to, like, let's say you're handed a machine and you just don't know what to do, it's a different language, you can just quickly go through it, select your language, and then change it.
Yeah, I think both of those are in scope. It kind of depends on current development priorities. I think definitely for the language selection, we're probably going to look into moving that from system settings into the keyboard itself, so that's easier to access, and also works better with Flatpak, which cannot provide pages and system settings. And for the keyboard being able to put itself in the corner, I think that is doable, at least at the bottom. It can decide its size. Yeah, it does. Anyway, so Devin is considering this right now, and he might end up implementing something or not, but we're going to think about it. Thank you.
Cool. Do we have a second question from anybody? Do we have a third? We can skip the second one. No? Okay. Well, thank you guys so much for your presentation. It's wonderful. And that is the 1-year recap of the KDE goals. So in the next 18 minutes, we're a bit, or sorry, 8 minutes, we will start with basically the lightning sessions. We'll have Emila with What's New with Qt Learning, Marco with Retiring K-Wallet, Volker with Emergency and Weather Alerts, Alexander with Boosting Your Code and Simplifying Your Life with Clazy. So we'll start again in about 7 minutes.